Hey, how long is the show?
Hey, and welcome to Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. I'm your host, Eric, joined by my new co host, T. T, how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Well, to answer your question as we came on the air, typically we go about 30 to 40 minutes. Basically, we get to talk as much as we want. This is Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. We are rocking and rolling here. Brand new episode. Me and T. Now we're going to be bringing this thing home every week, either 7 or 7:30, depending on our schedules. But yeah, we're going to be here talking shop, as we like to say, here on the Philly Sports Alliance as the umbrella we are under. And check us out all over Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We are everywhere, much like some dog excrements that come out. We are everywhere, and but I'd like to think that's the only similarity we have um, to those dog excrements. Uh, so we are coming off the heels of Money in the Bank, and very surprising, I think, event. Lots of great surprises. John Cena coming back. It was kind of leaked. A lot of people knew that ahead of time.
Mhm.
But I like the surprise Money in the Bank winners. Let's talk about the women first. I went into that match expecting either Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, like all the arrows are pointing towards Liv Morgan, but surprise, Nikki Ash
It,
slash Nikki Cross.
yeah, yeah, I know. And the thing is, I kind of dug it.
Yeah, I'm with it.
And it's something new. It's something fresh. And cashes in right away. I think we talked about this off air during one of our pre-show meetings, as I like to call them at work. But which is exactly what they pay us for at work, right? To sit there and talk wrestling. At least they should.
Oh yeah.
So the women that have historically not held the contract very long. I think the longest was the first Money in the Bank winner, Carmella. She waited until the week after WrestleMania and then cashed in on Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, a popular person to cash in on too. This is the third cash in on her. Of course, she's always got the championship, so that makes it easy that she's got to get cashed in on.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's funny. I like thinking about it. I was just like, well, let's see. Um, you know, Carmella cashed in on Charlotte. Uh, Bailey cashed in on Charlotte. Now Nikki cashed in on Charlotte. That's three of the five winners? Like the only other one, Alexa Bliss, she cashed in on Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey during their match the same night. And everybody else, it's been within 24 hours that they've either cashed in or found out they were the champion. Like last year, Asuka, finding out she was the Raw Women's Champion because Becky Lynch had to go be the ma instead of the man.
That was that was a strange day or night, I should say.
Yeah, a lot of things were strange about last year's Money in the Bank. I thought it was cool the concept of having it in WWE headquarters.
I think they should have separated them. It was just
Too much mayhem. Yeah,
innovative, sure, but it was just too weird.
yeah, and I would have liked because of the uniqueness of the match. I would have enjoyed having it twice on that night, like having the women. Like you could have opened the show from Titan Towers with the women having their match, and then closed the show with the men having theirs.
Yeah. Plus, having both matches in one, that would have suggested there would have been some intergender. Well, there was a little bit, but
Yeah,
some.
not a whole lot though. Like I would have loved it if at one point, one of the men had accidentally like gotten on a ladder to get up towards the women's contract, and like have a moment where like I don't know, Asuka and Baron Corbin are looking at it like kind of standing there like they're both reaching for the women's briefcase, or a spot where like Corbin's reaching for the women's and like one of the women is reaching for the men's contract, and they kind of look at each other like, wait, this isn't right.
Ooh, they could have ran a story with that.
Right?
Like if
It would have
Corbin
been entertaining.
what you have to cash in for a women's title. That was
So then,
so
like Otis has to cash in and face one of the women. That
oh
would have
man.
been fantastic. Or even better yet, going with their story of what they went with, where the women's Money in the Bank ladder match became the Raw Women's Champion. Otis walks out the next night. So, like, what's going on here? It's like, so you're now the Raw Women's Champion. It's like, wait, what?
That would have been a fantastic summer if they did that. Although the summer we had last year was good.
That was it's funny. Like I feel like Money in the Bank was the one match last year where they really took advantage of the curveball they got thrown with COVID.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like everything else. It's like they had to try to simulate the fan experience between having the trainees, standing around ringside. And while that was better than the empty arenas, because man, those were some brutal episodes of Raw and SmackDown. Like when the initial lockdown.
Yeah, that was pretty sad. Just silence, other than the bumps and all that.
Right. One of my favorite parts was in the very first. I think it was a Raw episode. They had Michael Cole and Triple H doing the broadcast, and like two women are like arguing. They're having one of their like promo segments against each other, and I believe it was Bailey was looking for a mic, and Triple H just says, "What? You can't just go say it to her." I thought I was just like, there you go. See, there's someone at least like capitalizing on the humor of the situation. But hopefully, we never have to utter the words Thunderdome again. Like, hopefully, that is something that's behind us. Because there was something special about the live crowd. We first got it on SmackDown this past week. What were your thoughts overall of SmackDown this past Friday?
It was like coming back home, basically. Just back to normal.
Yeah.
Live crowds, people chanting "You suck" and "Let's go Cena," all that good stuff.
I know. I loved it, and I love the unpredictable nature of our crowds. Like they went nuts for John Cena at Money in the Bank, and I think most people kind of knew it was coming, but like it still, to me, it caught me still by surprise. Even though I was kind of expecting it, if that makes sense. Because while Roman grabbed his microphone to talk, I'm like, okay, this is clearly going to be a moment where we're going to have a run in. And I'm like, and I'm hoping it's John Cena. Although part of me was kind of thinking, like, man, wouldn't it be cool if it was like Brock Lesnar? It's like, okay, now what's Paul Heyman going to do?
That would have been cool.
Right?
Yeah. Cena's back. Not really complaining.
I've always been a bigger fan of John Cena than most in my age and gender. So I like him. He's always had that appeal. Like he's had the mass appeal. He's one of those guys that appeals to the non-wrestling fan. Like people who, like for example, when I was in school, when I was in high school, and I was told I'm a big pro wrestling fan. And one guy, when he heard, oh, Eric's a wrestling fan, he says to me, he's like, well, are you like Olympic style wrestling fan or like Hulk Hogan style wrestling fan? And that to me, it's like when you, a non wrestling fan, immediately identified it as Hulk Hogan style wrestling. And I feel like the younger generation, the generation that would come up today, like if someone were to ask a kid in high school in the same predicament as me at that time, they'd say, are you like a Olympic style wrestling fan or are you like a John Cena style? Right? You think that's a fair assessment?
Well, Pretty much. I mean, Cena's done as much as Hogan. Well, not as. I
Oh,
don't
I
know
was
how
going to say that's a bold statement. I like it. Coming
to.
out the gate swinging, man.
I don't know how to word this properly, but it
He's this generation's Hulk Hogan.
yeah, like Hogan and then Austin and then Cena. He's basically the face of his era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
So,
3/4 of your Mount Rushmore of WWE, I think. Well, that's a fun exercise. Do you want to do the Mount Rushmore of WWE? Man, I think you named at least 3 of them: Hogan, Cena, and Stone Cold. I would say the other one, The Undertaker.
yeah, he's pretty much been around throughout that
He
entire.
encompasses all of that, which is incredible because I think a lot of people would associate The Undertaker as the biggest star, but as far as faces of their eras, I think, oh yeah, here's a good response. I don't know if you can see the comments. Someone right away saying Shawn Michaels as the 4th person in the on the Mount Rushmore, and I can't deny that one. Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, and really the guy that created the idea of a WrestleMania moment. Like, and I thought Edge then did a really good job of then like exploiting that with Mick Foley when they had their rivalry in 2006, exploiting that whole WrestleMania moment importance.
That was fun rivalry.
That was fun. Yeah. That was a really fun rivalry. As we look at now what seems to be the clear path for SummerSlam, John Cena and Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, Edge and Seth Rollins, and then the WWE Championship, Bobby Lashley and Goldberg.
Called it.
You did call it. I will give you credit. You called that.
I was hoping I was wrong, but
Well, it's funny because I'm not a big Brock Lesnar fan, but I was really hoping that Brock Lesnar was going to be the guy to show up and challenge Lashley because that's a match I feel like it's 2 legitimate fighters that you could then put in a scripted environment and just say, yeah, guys, make it look as real as possible. Just decimate the crap out of each other. And in the end, whoever's going over, I would assume it's Brock. Do you think Goldberg wins the WWE title? Now, they really made a big story out of that he never won the WWE Championship when he challenged Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. Do you think this is when he gets it? It's got to be now or never, right?
I honestly don't know.
And that's the beauty of it.
I really don't want him to beat Lashley just so he could hold the WWE title wherever, really. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Goldberg's done enough. Man, do you really need the WWE title? You should
No,
be younger people over.
I agree. I think this should be a moment. This should be the marquee where
Like
you
how he
put
put
Bobby
over,
Lashley over. Yeah.
like how he put over McIntyre.
Yeah. Yeah, see, to me, if he's coming back to do that, then I don't have a problem with his comebacks. But if he's coming back just to get himself over, like, to me, like, dude,
Like,
I
we're not
knew you were a beast when I was 17. Like, I don't need, like, not anymore, dude. You're done now.
gonna. I'm not trying to see the WWE title missing till maybe the Royal Rumble.
Right. Well, I would assume if he did win it, it would just be so he could drop it at like Clash of Champions or something. Because that's the night where all titles are required to be defended. So I would figure he would be there for that show, drop the title there, and then we don't see him again.
But I read Goldberg's only has 2 matches this year, and he had one with McIntyre already, and he's gonna have this one with Lashley. So.
Oh, well, then I would assume he's got to put Lashley over. Because that's the whole thing. Like they always say, Clash of Champions, every title has to be defended. So I would assume then Goldberg would have to have a third match this year, and I would also assume WWE not too excited about having to pay him extra for a third match.
Or they could do some BS injury angle where maybe Goldberg
and he has to drop the title. Yeah. I'm always down for a good tournament, so I'd be cool with Goldberg winning it and then having to, having sustained an injury, Goldberg will not be able to defend the WWE title. And, we have a tournament to decide a new champion. Although, yeah, go ahead.
Worst case scenario, if Goldberg wins and then holds the title hostage, they do have Big E, Mr. Money in the Bank.
Yeah, Big E could come in and cash in. And I'll tell you what, I actually would not be surprised to see Goldberg win the title and on the same at SummerSlam, Big E cash in and win the WWE Championship.
That would be fantastic.
Because Big E's talked about that he really like one of his dream matches is against Goldberg. Just two big guys going at it.
Well, opportunity might be there.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like this might be, again, a now or never type situation. Because how many more times can you run Goldberg out there?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's got to be his last run, right? Of course, I said that the last time, too.
I'm sure we'll probably see Goldberg next year.
I'd be okay with Goldberg as like a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble and then promptly get eliminated. And maybe even let that set up a match, like a non-championship match between Goldberg and somebody at WrestleMania. But like that's it. That's all I want to see out of Goldberg. I'm over this whole him challenging for championships.
Yes. Yes.
Like if he wants to come in and put over like, a young star or even like a Goldberg AJ Styles match, I'd be in for that where it's just those two going at it, like no championships involved.
And that'd be a good chance to put over Omos as well if he still has them by then.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah. It's so funny. Man, the ultimate dream match for those two would be AJ and Omos versus Shawn Michaels and Diesel.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool.
Because it's essentially like that's who AJ and Omos. Like I want to see Omos more in that role and helping AJ win championships. Although I guess that's what he was doing before they started this tag team title run.
Well, yeah, they could drop the tech titles and then start doing more of that.
Although, am I the only one that, like, in some of it, like, AJ Styles kind of being booked as the weaker of the two and being saved by Omos has really led to some guys getting some wins over AJ Styles. And I'm like, hold up, like, that's a huge deal. Like, Jackson Riker holds a win over AJ Styles. That's AJ freaking Styles. Ibar holds a victory now, a one-on-one victory over Grand Slam winner AJ flippin' Styles. Like, really? This is where we're at, where we're letting AJ Styles get beat by these guys who, no offense to either of those guys, I don't think either one of them is main event in WrestleMania this year, or next year for that matter. I'll step out on a sturdy limb there and say that. So, okay, those are the matches we currently know. I'm thinking one of the other matches that we're going to find out in the coming weeks is a Raw Tag Team title defense with AJ and Omos against RK Bro. Would you agree it's time for them to have their tag title match?
Yeah, definitely. RK Bro, Raw Tag Team chance. I'm with that.
Yeah, I feel like they need to have their run as tag team champions because, look, Randy Orton's not going to stay in a tag team for very long. Like this will be a fun little chapter in his career, and someday when we're doing when they're doing the rundown of his career when he's going into the Hall of Fame, they'll talk about how much fun he had with Riddle doing the RK Bro. But like the story has to eventually be they're going to have their run as the tag team champions. They're going to lose the tag team titles, and then Randy's turning on Riddle. Like that has to be how it happens, right?
And it's basically clockwork. Only a matter of time.
And I would think the logic would suggest they have a nice run as the tag team champions. Maybe lose them in December, maybe even early January. A miscue in the Royal Rumble match where maybe Riddle accidentally eliminates Randy Orton in the Rumble match. And that leads to them like having some big blow up, on a Raw that leads to Randy Orton versus Riddle at WrestleMania.
Big stage.
Yeah. I feel like that's what you need to do. And like, think about how much that's going to put over Matt Riddle.
That's true.
And right now, they've got to be thinking about who their next stars are. And I think Riddle has to be in that conversation.
And let's not forget, just to add a little fuel to the fire, Riddle does own a victory over Orton.
That's right. Yes, he does.
So they can bring that up in the feud.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine, as they're feuding and like they're doing like a little, back and forth in a face to face. Randy gives the whole, "What makes you think you can hang in the ring with me and you can beat me? I'm the one that carried this team. I'm the reason we were the tag team champions." And Riddle just goes, "Beat you before, bro." Right? Like I feel like that would be a great way. That would be a great way for Riddle to deliver a line like that.
That's got to be how it happens, exactly, word for word.
Like I love the exchange between Riddle and John Cena on Monday Night Raw, where they're just like they had an entire conversation with just bro.
That was golden.
Yeah, and kudos to John Cena for being willing to do something like that, the veteran that he is, to just say, "Hey, this exchange here, I can basically like Riddle's a made man now."
Yeah.
And that's some good work, John Cena. All he had to do was show up and say one word over and over again with the guy, and he's made. And I can't wait for John Cena Roman Reigns. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, not just because it's Friday night, and I'm always looking forward to Friday nights, but SmackDown, John Cena, Roman Reigns, that showdown. That is a SummerSlam main event that feels like WrestleMania.
Second time they could have had a WrestleMania match.
I know. I feel like if they have a WrestleMania match in Dallas this coming year, like it'll be the third time they face each other. Will it even be special at that point?
It depends on what's on the line. Like the first match was nothing special. But
right. And I mean, it was a nice match. Like John Cena hit him with a bunch of attitude adjustments, and Roman kicked out. And then one spear put Cena down.
But at least this upcoming match, you got the Universal title. Roman's grown a lot.
Yeah, and it's so funny. Finally, WWE listened to their audience. Like the audience is telling you, you've got a monster heel. Let the guy run as a heel. They've let him run as a heel, and in my mind, it's been an absolute smashing success.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
And it's just me. All they had to do, listen to their audience. Crazy concept, Vince. Speaking of which, listening to the audience has basically been telling them for probably 3 or 4 years now that NXT has a superior show to the main roster. How do you like this year's SummerSlam is going to be the precursor for NXT TakeOver on Sunday?
It's so weird to look at.
Like the TakeOver is going to be on Sunday with SummerSlam. Your second biggest event of the year is going to be on the Saturday.
I know. It's like not only is it just the WWE pay per view coming on first, it's one of the big four.
Right.
And
If they did that with like Fastlane or something like that, that doesn't even like I wouldn't even care. But this is one of the big four. This is the, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Like you just those pay-per-views are supposed to be untouchable, and now they're not.
Well, unless they're trying to capture some kind of different audience, just something on a Saturday night.
Well, I know Las Vegas made a big deal with WWE because they've been trying to have like the UFC fights, the other main attractions that they've had in Las Vegas have all been on Saturday nights, and so I think they kind of said to Vince McMahon and the WWE, "Hey, look, we'd love to have SummerSlam here, but we want to have it on a Saturday." I think that was a Las Vegas and Allegiant Stadium was saying, no, we want this on a Saturday night because that's when we get the most. That's when we have the most tourists that can really pack that event. And now that WWE is allowed to have an audience there, man, they want to make sure they get every dollar that they can out of that live audience.
Well, Saturday night, I'm sure they will.
Which always makes it. I love to talk to people. Like, I don't know if you're when you can have like a party, have people over. Do you like to watch events alone? Like, what is the way you prefer to watch, a WWE pay-per-view?
I mean, if a friend's hosting, then I'll go, but typically in my room, surrounded by snacks and drinks.
What's the go-to snack or drink during like this year WrestleMania when you sat down to watch it? What was the go-to snack, go-to drink?
I think I had Chinese food.
Oh,
Oh, that's so far. I can't remember that part now. I know I did something big.
Yeah, I know. I love to get pizza for basically. I'll find any excuse I can to get pizza, and so like I'm pretty sure I had pizza at WrestleMania, and like, of course, the last WrestleMania that they could have a full crowd. Yours truly was in attendance at MetLife Stadium in New York, and it's funny. I rewatched it. And I thought, I'm like, oh, man, this thing's long. It's kind of boring at times. Man, there's a lot of dead time in it. I thought, like, why did it seem so awesome while I was there? Because when I was there, I was like, this is the greatest WrestleMania ever. And maybe it's just because there's nothing like attending an event live. I know you had kind of a crappy experience when you went to Battlegrounds because you couldn't see the Punjabi prison match, really.
No wonder those tickets were cheap.
I know.
Yeah.
I was actually looking into getting the tickets for that. And man, in hindsight, I was certainly glad I didn't.
Yeah, I'm like all the way up here in the rafters.
And I would think like you'd be able to look down and like maybe with the overhead, be able to see more, but I guess not.
Nah, not really.
So okay, we talked about the about Nikki Ash winning Money in the Bank and then cashing in successfully. Big E now Mr. Money in the Bank. I know I told you my scenario, what I was thinking was going to happen. And of course, when they didn't do the matches in the order for me, I knew that wasn't going to be the process because I thought if they had the ladder match first and had, Drew win, I thought Drew cashes in on Lashley at Money in the Bank. Basically, not giving everybody enough time to say, hey, wait, he's not allowed to cash in on him because he's not supposed to face him again. But the manner in which they basically screwed Drew McIntyre out of that opportunity, I'd assume that sets up Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. Is there any excitement level from you for that match, or am I the only one that's going to kind of crap all over that story as we get closer?
I just had a scary thought that they might make it a Punjabi prison match.
Oh, Jesus.
Please don't do that. Please don't.
Well, thankfully, it plays out a little better on television, so you'll be able to see it,
But even still, it's
the dumbest match idea I've ever heard. Like, you close, like, you have these little entryways where you can kind of crawl out of, but, like, as soon as you go for it one time, and after, like, 2 minutes or something like that, they close that door, and it's like, why don't they just say the only way is to climb over the top and get out the other side? Like, why, Jesus, with those dumb little, oh, that door is going to close. That door's like, we all know they're not getting out that way.
Hopefully they retire that match.
Yeah. That match should go into the Hall of Shame. I feel like we as the audience got put in the Hall of Pain watching watching the 2 Punjabi prison matches. You remember the other one?
There's Batista versus is it Big Show?
Great Khali. Yeah. Yeah, since he's from India, and of course Great Khali made an appearance during that Randy Orton Jinder Mahal Punjabi prison match. Which, if they were to bring back Khali, which I'm not suggesting they should, because God no, please not. Introducing him to screw over Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam and then set up maybe a Drew Great Khali rivalry would be nice.
Just to see him chop down a big man, sure. That's literally it. Other than that, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say then it's probably a one-off. Like Drew destroys them at the next pay-per-view, and then we move on.
Yeah.
But it would do. I know you mentioned to me you wanted to make sure you kept Drew away from the title for a little bit because he had his run. And, something like that would do wonders for keeping Drew away from the championship.
Yeah. But we really don't need to bring Khali back because Jinder has his two bodyguards or whatever they are.
Yeah, which basically replace the 2 guys he had with him when he won the championship.
The Bollywood boys.
Yeah.
It's like they leveled up.
That was great, though. The 3 or 4 month sequence with Jinder Mahal and those Bollywood boys getting destroyed by Randy Orton and everybody else that tried to challenge Jinder. That was kind of entertaining. And then knowing that, okay, Orton's going to destroy them or whoever. They're going to destroy the Bollywood boys, but they're going to be distracted enough for Jinder to hit the Colossus. And it really did make, when Jinder won the title, was I the only one that was absolutely ecstatic? Because here's a guy who's never won a damn thing. And I felt like that was an example of the WWE showing the WWE universe that, hey, you guys sit there and say we just hold these guys down and they're never moving up, never moving towards it. Dude, in 2 matches, we can make a guy number 1 contender and champion. Relax. And then you forget all about being buried for 7 years. And I feel like that was kind of the statement they made with Jinder Mahal was, we can make anybody champion and make you believe it.
Yeah, when Jinder won, I was like, hey, I'm not mad. I'm with it. Something new.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the feeling. It's something new. And I feel like I felt the same way when Bobby Lashley won the WWE Championship. I thought this is something new. Lashley's never won it. And when he retained at WrestleMania, I really thought Drew McIntyre was going to basically get his WrestleMania redo. And they swerved me. And at first, I was kind of like, what the hell? Why did you do that to Drew? And then I thought to myself, I'm like, but man, they really got us. Because I think that was like the too obvious thing to do would be to have just Drew win the title back at WrestleMania. And I kind of like that they've put him in that chasing role, and now like he's got to go away from the title for a while before he gets another chance. And I mean, I don't think you're having Lashley keep the title all the way to next year's WrestleMania, but if he did, Drew wins 2 out of 3 Royal Rumbles and that's how he gets his opportunity to face Lashley again.
I'd say maybe he should win it in like the Elimination Chamber or something. That way he can walk into WrestleMania as champ.
Okay. Yeah, because I
But
feel like three straight WrestleManias walking in as the challenger. Like,
yeah,
all right, been there, done that. We know this story.
plus I don't remember last. I know I'm probably being forgetful, but I don't remember
Okay.
last time the title changed hands in Elimination Chamber. I know I'm being forgetful, but
No, but it's been a while.
yeah.
And remember when they first introduced the chamber match, it changed hands almost every time. And in fact, there was several years in a row. I'm just like, well, man, why are they doing that? It looks like they've already got WrestleMania set, and then it's like they take you on a drastic detour. And gosh, was the last time the championship changed hands when John Cena lost to Bray Wyatt?
Uh,
It really might be.
day.
That was a great day when Bray Wyatt became champion. He's what, a 3-time champion now. And but like all 3 like lasted about what a total. Well, his second one lasted a little bit. He won it in October and then lost it in Saudi Arabia when Goldberg beat him with a suplex. Which that was Goldberg's last win, correct?
Maybe.
Yeah, because he lost to Braun Strowman at WrestleMania, and then he lost to Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, that was Stan. He went the entire pandemic era and didn't win a single match. Now, granted, he was only in one other match in the whole pandemic, but yeah, I mean, it's starting to be a little bit of time, and he's had a couple matches, and this was the guy who won 173-0, before losing to Kevin Nash. Which I'm always on the minority side of this. Am I the only one who thought that when Goldberg's streak ended, it was time for the streak to end?
Well, I wasn't really much of a WCW guy, but I saw the footage. The cattle prod, is that the way to do it?
To me, it's like you basically made the statement, it takes so much to get him. You had to basically electrocute him in order to beat him. Like, to me, I kind of thought it was well done. I don't know. I know I'm always in the minority, so whenever whenever we go down the rabbit hole and bring that whole story up, I always feel compelled to ask for the other's opinion. Now, yeah, I thought that was well done. I thought that was a great way to end the streak. And the thing is, they made up for it. Then I know Goldberg and Nash faced each other a couple more times and Goldberg beat him each of the other times.
Mhm.
So it's not like they didn't show. Yeah, Goldberg could still beat Kevin Nash. I think, I do think Goldberg should put over Lashley at SummerSlam. And just like I kind of think John Cena should put over Roman Reigns at SummerSlam again.
Well, I'm pretty sure Cena's gonna put over Roman, but the Goldberg things, I'm sure that'll happen too. But it's like, really?
Yeah, it makes you ask that question. Like, hey, look, at the Royal Rumble, I really believed that there was no chance that, okay, at first I thought, I'm like, well, Drew's got to retain the title because Drew's going to go to WrestleMania as the champion, and I really believed that. And then I thought, I'm like, but would they really have Drew drop the title to Goldberg, thinking he's the bigger star for when they go back live, with an audience? And that really had me worried.
Just keep thinking back to the Bray Wyatt thing, and
Well, you know what I would have loved? If they were to have Goldberg win the championship at the Royal Rumble, I would have loved them Bray Wyatt to have won the Royal Rumble, and then Wyatt and Goldberg. Wyatt gets his chance to get revenge on Bill Goldberg.
that would have been sweet redemption.
Ooh, you know what would be awesome? Goldberg goes for the jackhammer on Lashley at SummerSlam. And as he's got him in position, ready to go deliver, the lights all go out, and in the Bray Wyatt fashion. Which, by the way, it was hilarious today at work in the morning. Like the lights started going out, like they were like something was going on with our lighting, and the lights were going out in that same fashion. Like I thought, I'm like, oh shoot! If I start hearing that creepy music and I look over and see the Fiend, I'm out. Like I'm gone. Like I'm leaving. Like, sorry, Sue, you're on your own. You're gonna get the mandible claw. I'm out the door. But that was the first thing I thought. I was like, oh my god, I gotta find a way to bring this up on the show tonight.
All the good stuff happens when I'm not there.
I know, right? I feel like that happens with me a lot too. Like they always have to fire people and walk them out my door. Yet I have seen, I think, 2 people in my entire tenure, and that's like including the 5 years I worked before. I think I've seen 2 people get walked out.
Yeah, I've only seen one person get walked out.
Now, who was yours?
The infamous Jim Lantonio.
Well, yeah, that was what it was.
Yeah, some get walked out in cuffs, police escort, and all that.
You see the alligator tears too? Apparently, he was crying on his way out.
Yeah, he had that sad look on his face. But he looked at me.
Nobody watching will have a clue what we're talking about. It was a guy we worked with, stole a bunch of stuff basically over the course of like his entire time there, which was like over 20 years. But yeah, so that T and I worked together. That's how we came together to do this show. But now I consider you more of a friend than just a coworker. We will be joining you guys every week. I think that's about to do it for tonight. T, great first episode. Glad to have you on board with me. Everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to check us out on basically any device, anywhere. We are all over the place, like I said at the beginning of the show. So make sure to blindly follow all the buttons that Facebook asks you, like, follow, share. It's always a good idea to just blindly follow, especially with Facebook. So everybody, have a great night. T, thanks for joining me. And everybody out there who watched, thank you so much. We will see you next week, and happy wrestling, everybody.
See ya.